Welcome back to Motivated with Meg. We're jumping into season 1, the eating experiment, where we toss out the food rules and explore how food and freedom connect. No dogma, just freedom and a space to experiment for yourself. I am not here to make you follow the dieting rules that you might have been following most of your life. Instead, think of me as your motivator, hoping to light the fire under your butt to try new self-care focused habits. This is about exploring food and eating habits in your day-to-day life with curiosity and while working to let go of judgment. Today, we're talking about experimenting with the micro but super effective habit of taking mindful bites and chewing your food more. I know what you're thinking. Megan, why is this a podcast episode? I know how to chew. Do you think I'm dumb? Nope, don't think you're dumb. I definitely think that you know how to chew. But when's the last time you actually took some time and focused on the simple act of chewing or being more mindful at mealtime? Here's the thing. Most of us obsess and stress over what and how much we eat out of fear of weight gain or hopes of weight loss or worry about our health. But we rarely focus on the how or why we eat. And don't get me wrong, nutrition is key. I love nutrition. I truly believe that food is medicine, that we are what we eat. The body that we live in, the cells that create our body are made from the food we eat. So yes, nutrition is important. And today we're not talking about nutrition. Today we're talking about how you eat. So most likely, just like me and how I used to eat all the time, and sometimes still do because I'm human, you put food in your mouth. Then you chew a few times. And while chewing, you already have the next bite of food on the fork ready to go. You aren't paying attention to the bite in your mouth or the flavors dancing on your taste buds. No. You're usually focused on anticipating the next bite. And so while that's fine, it's okay to be excited about the next bite of food and love the food you're eating. But when your focus is on the next bite, it can't be on the current bite. And so you're missing out on experiencing the food that you can actually taste right now in this present moment, which is the bite in your mouth. So put simply, mindful bites are about taking the focus off the next bite and redirecting it, putting it back onto the one that you have in your mouth, what you're currently chewing on. Why? Great question. Because that is the only experience you can actually have in that moment. Everything else is just your thoughts about the food or a distraction from the food. The more present you are and mindful of the food you're chewing on, the more you enjoy it. The more you enjoy it, the more satisfied you're going to feel. The more satisfied you feel, the less deprived you feel, and the less you feel like somehow you missed out on the eating experience. I don't know if you've ever been there, but I've been there before where I've eaten something and I'm like, I finished the whole meal and I'm like, wait a second, I barely remember eating that. I don't remember tasting it. That's not fair. And then I want more food because I missed out. I don't feel satisfied. Even though I'm full, I didn't hit satisfaction because I wasn't paying attention. And this can happen to anyone at any time. Like I've said throughout this podcast, I'm human too. I'm not up here saying I'm perfect or an expert. I'm literally telling you my story around dieting in the past and where I'm at now and what's helped me get here. And so I recently had this happen to me. I found langostino lobster tails. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but I did. I found those in the frozen section of Trader Joe's, and I figured, let's just grab a bag and toss them in the freezer. I'll give them a try one night when I don't have something planned for dinner. I just, take them out, defrost them, whatever it is in the morning, and then cook them that night. It's usually what I do. Your freezer is so helpful when it comes to eating at home. As long as you remember what's in there and you actually use it and it doesn't get freezer burn on it. I almost hit frostbite. Freezer burn, guys. Anyway, so I recently found these langostino lobster tails and I was waiting to use them. And one night, it was like last week, maybe 2 weeks ago now, I cooked them up in a nice garlicky white wine butter sauce and added them to the pasta with sauteed spinach. So I had this nice plated dish in these new bowls that I got that had these cute little fish on them. And I sat down to eat. I was excited. It smelled amazing. I was hungry. I was ready. So I started eating. And along the way of taking bites, my phone beeped and I got distracted. And the next thing I knew, I looked down and there was only a quarter of my meal left. I've eaten more than half of it. And I was like, oh crap, I don't remember eating this. And it's delicious. And I recognized this and I was like, oh, okay, Megan, deep breath, put the phone down. This is the ultimate distractor. It always is. It's not that I can't eat and look at my phone. It's that I'm not great at being mindful with my food while looking at my phone. If I could be mindful and look at my phone, cool. But I'm not great at that. So when I notice it, I put the phone down and I went back to my food. It's not that I had to put my phone down. That was a choice. Sometimes I do eat and watch TV or go on my phone. And so that's never about cutting out fun and not getting to do the fun thing you want to do. It's about learning to notice and choose to practice mindful bites at any moment during any meal or snacking episode. The phone is going to be there. The video I was watching is paused. It'll play when I'm ready. I don't need to run and watch it this second. I need to slow down and enjoy the food in front of me. The food's going to get cold. It's not going to taste as good reheated. Let myself enjoy it. So while I had already eaten more than half of it mindlessly, I still had a quarter of it left. And I had a choice to make, going back to choice points, which I talked about in a different episode. And that choice was to continue eating it mindlessly, which was a choice, and feel deprived and go get more food, or to put my phone down and to come back to being mindful with my bites until I finished my meal. And then I can pick my phone back up. And so that's what I did. I allowed my awareness to win. I was aware of my habit. And instead of saying, screw it, keep going, I already started, why not just keep going, I'll start fresh next time. I chose to start fresh then and there. And that's the key to habit change, is you don't wait till next time, you do it now when you notice it. I also want to point out that I did this without judging myself for having eaten so quickly and mindlessly. I just started from where I could, which is the moment of becoming aware of my habit in action. And that's your experiment this week, to practice taking mindful bites. To practice bringing awareness in the moment to your habit and choosing to pause and walk that dirt path instead of your paved highway. So all week long, whenever you remember to do it, no matter if it's the first bite, the seventh bite, or the last bite of food you're taking, give yourself that moment to take a deep breath and be more present with the food in front of you. Let's pause here for a moment. And I want to give you that moment to commit to this experiment for the week. If you need to write this down on a piece of paper, go ahead. If you need to set a daily reminder, go for it. Whatever works for you. Just remember, this isn't about perfection. You're a human. You're going to forget. That's okay. It's about doing it when you remember to. Now, I'm going to go turn on my nerd mode for a second and share with you some facts. Please note that I do have my own biases, so I am looking up studies that confirm what I'm talking about, obviously. I do look up other studies that talk about what I'm talking about in a different light as well. And so through my years of experience, of doing things for myself, of working with clients, of researching, this is what I've come to find true for myself. Always open to hear from others if they don't agree. But studies do show that slowing down while eating can actually help prevent overeating. And it also improves digestion, because digestion starts in the mouth with chewing and saliva, the enzymes in our saliva breaking down our food. Researchers found that people who chew longer feel more satisfied and are less likely to reach for second servings. That's huge, especially if your goal is weight loss. You don't need to cut out a food group. What if you just slow down and you didn't go back for seconds? That in itself is less calories without even having to count calories or cut out food groups or anything like that. It's just eating slower, feeling more satisfied, and then needing less because of that. So it turns out that there's a reason why when we eat quickly, we wind up wanting seconds. And a part of that reason, like I said, was satisfaction, by all means, and being aware of the food you're eating and like getting to enjoy it in the moment. But the other part of that is that our brain needs time to register that we're full. But when we eat quickly and mindlessly, we completely miss that signal. So the brain and the stomach are constantly in communication. Your whole body is. That's why you're alive and functioning. That's why your heart beats and you breathe without having to think, right? Your body's communicating all the time. And then our brain, we love to get in the way of that and make it a little bit more complicated. Like, I know you're hungry, but let's just skip that meal. So our goal is definitely to stop letting the stories in our head win when it comes to listening to our body. And so the body's constantly communicating with itself. And it does this in a few ways. One way it does that is through hunger and fullness hormones called leptin and ghrelin. And we're going to talk about those in a coming episode. We're going to talk about hunger and fullness very soon. And so leptin and ghrelin, they help your body balance hunger and fullness. And when you eat too fast, we're not giving the chemical messengers leptin enough time to relay the fullness message to your brain. And by the time it does, you're usually already stuffed and have already gone back for seconds. You know, if you've never done this before, I definitely recommend it. I learned this in my health coaching certification, which was set a timer. No goal. It's not that you're trying to make your meal last a certain amount of time or anything like that, but just set a timer and eat and just see how quickly you eat. And when I did this, I finished a hamburger in like 2 minutes. So, yeah. And then I still wanted more food. I was like, oh, let me go get my fries and let me go get a cookie too. And then it was like, oh, what else do I want? Because my body didn't have time to communicate, right? I ate so quickly. In 10, 12 minutes, I'd eaten a burger, fries, and a cookie versus trying to make that burger last longer. And then I can always go get more fries or a cookie if I still needed it. But eating quickly, it made it so I just completely miss that fullness signal, which isn't helpful. And we're going to go into this more in the next episode. So, as you know, if you've been listening to the podcast so far, I used to struggle with some unhelpful eating habits, which caused a lot of shame and guilt when it came to food choices or trying to follow any food or exercise related program. And one of the main reasons I struggled was because I wasn't being mindful. I wasn't honoring my body. I had created a habit of ignoring certain bodily signals. And then I would beat myself up along the way for overeating and giving into craving. It's like, what's wrong with me? But the answer was I wasn't eating, right? So like when you ignore hunger, you definitely get cravings for sugar. And then you often go overeat that food because you're really hungry. And so it's hard to eat slow when you're really hungry. So mindful bites and mindful eating isn't about perfection or eating the right type of food, whatever that might be, or the right way. But rather, and I quote this from the Harvard School of Public Health, eating mindfully means that you are using all of your physical and emotional senses to experience and enjoy the food choices you make. Your experiment this week is to do just that. It's to aim to savor each bite you take and be more mindful with each bite. And so here are my top 3 recommendations to help you practice mindful bites. 1, put your fork down between each bite or the food. If it's a hamburger, put it back down. Don't keep it in your hand. Put it down. Not because you can't, but because when we have the fork in our hand, we're more likely to go scoop up the next bite because we're anticipating the next bite versus put the fork down and enjoy the bite in your mouth. Recommendation number 2 to help practicing mindful bites is to chew each bite of food 20 times, or as many times as you can before it's so mushy like baby food that you have to absolutely swallow it. Now, 20 times? Is that, it has to be 20, can't be 19, can't be 21? Nope, of course not. By all means, be flexible. The point is to chew your food a lot. Break it down. Let your teeth break down the food. Let the enzymes in your saliva break down the food. This is the first part of digestion. Tip number 3. This is really if you're eating with anybody else around, is that you can make it a fun game. You can try to be the slowest eater. Can you be the last person at the table to finish the food on your plate, if you even do finish it? If you are alone, I definitely recommend putting away distractions like your phone to prevent things like doom scrolling. Not because you can't eat with a distraction, but because we're trying this week alone to practice mindful bites. So I'll say it again. You're human. So you're going to forget. It's just what happens, and that's okay. Just do it every time you remember to, even if it's mid-chew or the last bite of the meal. In that moment, you have control to make change with habits. And in that moment, you can take a deep breath and make it a more mindful bite. By cultivating mindfulness in your eating habits, you can nourish not only your body, but also yourself. And it's not just mindfulness of the outside world, it's also about being mindful of your inner world, your thoughts and your feeling. So as you practice your mindful bites this week, notice that you are able to observe everything. You can observe your body doing the chewing, and you can probably observe your thoughts doing the thinking about the food you're eating and what it means to do it this way. So you're not your thoughts and you're not your body. You're the observer. Now it's your turn to experiment with mindful bites all week long. Remember, you know yourself and your body better than anyone else. And so I recommend going through these experiments with the idea of trying this on without taking it personally if it's not working for you, without getting upset and judging yourself, and just deciding if it feels good for you. So do your best this week to savor each bite mindfully, using all of your senses and noting things such as texture and flavor and personal preferences. Maybe take a deep breath between bites. One last little tidbit I'll give you that one of my clients did was she made it a lot of fun when they went out to eat, and they would rate every aspect of the experience like they were judges on Chopped. And that made the meal more fun and enjoyable. And it wasn't about like what she was eating, like, oh no, carbs, scary. It was like, let's 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 rate this, the plating and the presentation. And so by taking her focus off of what was scary, carbs, and onto something fun, she was able to enjoy the meal, have fun eating out on a date night, and not overthink her food choices. As you navigate your journey of life this week with Mindful Bites, do your best to pay attention to your food and notice if eating more mindfully this week and taking more mindful bites affects your food experience at all. I can't wait to hear how it goes. Feel free to comment below or reach out and DM me if you'd like to share your Mindful Bites experience and experiment with me. Thank you so much for listening. Until the next episode, be kind and be yourself. Everyone else is already taken.